A little warning before you watch this. It gets a little graphic, so I would not be eating while you listen to this video. So just a little warning. We'll be discussing a little bit of bowel movements, and I'm going to get a little TMI possibly for you, but hey, dirty jeans, right? So I was in Mexico with my family, had an amazing trip. I wanted to shoot more videos and share our experiences with you, but while we were there, there was no Wi-Fi, there was basically no cell signal, so that was also awesome, but I couldn't contribute stuff for you. So we made it home and got a little tan, which is great, and Seattle was cooperating with some weather, but no pun intended, bowels were not so pleased with whatever happened in Mexico. The food was great, but I drank something or ate something, and myself, Theo, and my wife got affected. Tasman and Matthew did not, luckily. So you never know with ice there, and if you go to a restaurant, you get something with ice, it could be just from the tap. And so that could have been what happened. So needless to say, I have been really struggling for the past 3 days. I've lost 10 pounds just from bowel movements. And so when you have the D word, diarrhea, it can be a huge problem. I mean, it can be emergency room style stuff. And one of the top killers in the world is diarrhea. And dehydration is a big consequence of that. Low potassium is a consequence. Just not able to absorb nutrients. It's a big deal. So first thing I did was to make sure I did not have hemorrhagic E. coli. So if you have loose stools and you see blood in your stool, that's an emergency room deal. You go. Done. I did not have that. Nobody in our family had that. I actually asked my family members to take pictures. When Theo told me his was red, I was like, you better show me. It wasn't red. It was just a little pinkish from something he ate, and return back to normal color. So why am I telling you this? Why am I sharing with you about diarrhea? Well, A, because it happens, and B, it sucks. And I want to give you some tips on how to support yourself while you're experiencing this. You may need antibiotics for it, you may not. I'm trying without, and I'm starting to see some improvements finally. I've tried antimicrobials, and it's been, I don't know, pretty unsuccessful actually. So, and hydration is tough because when you hydrate, your stomach gets upset, and then you have to go to the bathroom, and then you get dehydrated from that. So you got to hydrate slowly. So cold water kind of slows down your digestion, but also causes cramping. Hot water causes relaxation. Warm room temperature is likely best, and you want to be sipping rather than gulping. Now, one thing that I did learn as well, and I've known this, but I haven't practiced it, is anytime you are having diarrhea, you want to pay attention to the odor. Well, you don't, but you do. If it's extremely foul smelling, where you can't even stand it yourself, that is probably hydrogen sulfide gas being produced. And hydrogen sulfide is produced by hydrogen sulfide producing bacteria. And when you have an excess amount of hydrogen sulfide, you have loose stools, diarrhea, and it can be pretty explosive from hydrogen sulfide. So why does that matter? Well, hydrogen sulfide bacteria love sulfur. So you have to be careful with protein. You have to be careful with sulfur-containing foods. You have to be careful with sulfur-containing supplements. So if you're taking N-acetylcysteine, glutathione, MSM, chondroitin, glucosamine, consuming chicken, milk, any of these types of things, and if you're following a GAPS or paleo type of diet, you could be really increasing your hydrogen sulfide levels. So if you're not struggling from diarrhea and you have very foul smelling gas, very sulfury, that's hydrogen sulfide. And I highly recommend that you may modify your protein intake and probably cease a bit of your sulfur intake for a bit. So I've been doing that. I did try some garlic pills, and the garlic pills I think actually made it worse, which makes sense because the smell was worse. Sorry, I'm being graphic, but hey, full transparency. So I stopped doing that and I started getting better. So our first inclination is to kill. When you have an infection like this or whatever it is. I don't think it's stomach flu because nobody else in our family is getting it. It doesn't seem to be contagious. And so for hydrogen sulfide, another trick is you can be taking a supplement called molybdenum, and molybdenum helps break down sulfites because hydrogen sulfide leads to sulfites, and that can cause immense fatigue, headache, irritability, insomnia, and just a general feeling of bleh. So if you supplement with molybdenum, you help eliminate those sulfites, metabolize those sulfites, and you can feel a lot better. So I've been doing that, it's been helping, been giving it to Theo, it's been helping. So, consider molybdenum for that. Another thing is fats. Fats are very, very hard to digest. Your liver is very overwhelmed when you have loose stools or diarrhea because it's so busy processing all the toxins and chemicals produced by these harmful bacteria. So if you consume fat, you are burdening your liver. When you consume a lot of protein, you're burdening your liver to process all the ammonia. So you got to cut back on the protein, you got to cut back on the fats, and you got to actually eat more carbohydrate. And so that's what we've been doing. More rice noodles, broths, and a little bit of protein just because we have to sustain. And then I've been noticing some improvement with that. My energy is pretty good today. My color is back a bit. And Theo's exercise or energy is back as well a little bit. So careful with the fats. I drank goat milk. That was a disaster. I felt terrible. It did not feel good. So be careful with cold. Be careful with protein. Be careful with excessive fat. Consume a bit more carbohydrate and get more broths and steamed non-cruciferous vegetables as well. You don't want to get that sulfur in you. Another thing is probiotics. We have to be aware that probiotics, good bacteria, produce compounds which kill bad bacteria. So I was like, all right, I'm going to try some probiotics, but you have to make sure you're taking probiotics that don't produce histamine, and you actually want to modulate histamine. Why? Because histamine also causes loose stools and diarrhea. So you have an excess amount of histamine, you can vomit, you can have acid reflux, and you can have loose stool. So Theo actually puked, and so that's high histamine. Loose stools is also high histamine. So if you don't have any smelly stool from diarrhea, it could be high histamine. So I've been supplementing with a lot of histamine supportive probiotics and taking 100 billion at a time. I just started last night and I did it again today. I took 100 billion last night, took 100 billion about half an hour ago. And that seems to be the best improvement so far for me and Theo. Theo is funny. He's like, Dad, this is a lot. You're giving me 10 pills. It's like, yeah, it's 100 billion probiotics. It's okay. He goes, well, what's the side effect, Dad, if I take too much? And I said, constipation. He goes, give it to me. So yeah, it was pretty funny. Good sense of humor despite all the trips to the bathroom. And another thing is you want to watch histamine containing foods and drinks. So I know a lot of people, when you're sick, you want orange juice and all that because of the vitamin C content. Be careful with that because of the histamine. So, you can get your vitamin C in, but I wouldn't even really, that's a different topic because vitamin C can cause loose stools too. I have not taken any vitamin C during this, but I have been drinking electrolytes quite a bit because you lose potassium in quite a significant amount. So you got to make sure you're getting sufficient potassium. If I don't see improvement by basically Monday, like a huge improvement from where I was, which was terrible, like just water. Sorry again for graphicness, and 30 times to the bathroom in a day. I've improved already significantly, and if I continue seeing improvement, I will not get antibiotics. If I don't see further improvement, I will get antibiotics, and I'm going to be doing a stool test after this as well, just to make sure I don't have any parasites or other critters in there that I don't want. Because going to Mexico or any country that you're not familiar with, your own microbiome is changing. So getting a stool test is recommended. So I use doctor's data, GI 360 stool test, but you can use Genova, you can use GI map, whatever works for you and your doc. Okay, so I hope that serves you. Oh, and another thing is too, you can't exercise. So I don't care how avid you are about your exercise program, you can't. What's going to happen is you're going to burn muscle, because your body wants the protein. If you're not consuming much protein because of hydrogen sulfide, you're going to be consuming your own muscle, and you're going to be losing not just water weight but muscle mass, and that's going to be an issue because you're going to be gaining fat back instead of just getting your weight back. So do not exercise while you're having diarrhea or while you're sick, period. So I've got 15 yards of topsoil. I want to spread it. It's a beautiful day today, but I'm not going to be doing it because I don't want to be burning my muscle that I work so hard to get on my body. So do not work out and keep things simple. Go for gentle walks, lay back down, and take it easy. So yeah, hell of a story to be sharing with you, but hey, full transparency, and we all suffer from this at times, and I hope this serves you. Take care.